So I'm here at the multi-hull show at Grande Motte, and I'm on board the new WINDELO 54, and it's the world premiere of this boat. It's very exciting because it's a very interesting boat. What makes it especially interesting is the sustainability aspect to this boat, which is very impressive. So there's two sides to that, two sides to sustainability. One is the build of the boat, making that as minimizing the environmental impact of that. And the other is the use of the boat, making sure that when you're out on the water, you also minimize the impact of that, the environmental impact. And both of those things are very important to us sailors because we love nature, so we don't want to damage the environment. How do they do that? Well, let me tell you. They've started from the keel up, so to speak, because they've gone for a construction method that's very innovative, quite different, but now tried and tested over many years, at least 5 WINDELO have been making these. So they decided not to go with fiberglass for construction, nor carbon fiber, but basalt, which is, as some of you will know, about volcanic rock, which is pretty unusual and doesn't sound very promising to build a boat out of rock. But with basalt, you can treat it in a way that you can turn it into laminates. So you can use the laminates, obviously, in construction, just as you use fiberglass laminates. In addition to that, obviously, certain sections of the boat are foam-filled. Any yacht will have foam-filled or balsa-filled core. How do you get around that? Because foam is obviously very unsustainable. Well, here we have it. And what they use for that is something called PET. It's the shortened version. I'm not going to say a long version because I can't say it. But what PET is basically this, which is crushed plastic, recycled bottles, that sort of thing. And that actually halves your sort of carbon emissions in the construction process. So obviously makes a huge difference. So the other side of sailing sustainably is actually sailing. And that's what really matters to us, the customer. How do you do that? Well, if you fire up a diesel engine, that's not particularly sustainable, and we all have to motor from time to time. To get around that, WINDELO has got 2 electric motors. Very good. Well, you need power in those electric motors. How do you get that power? Well, if you look here, we've got hydro generation from the propeller. So if you're sailing, that spins freely. Well, it doesn't spin freely, but it tops up the battery. Then you've also got a wind turbine. And then the solar panels, which are a big factor. The top of the roof of this boat and various flat spaces are all covered with solar panels, so it's a great way to generate power under sail. And this boat has been basically being used for it's been on a long trip to Marseille and back, all using electric power. And that's important because there is a diesel generator to back up that electric power. So if you're stuck, you can boost the range with a diesel generator. But the crew on this boat said that they have not been using that at all because they don't need it. So it is really just a backup. And if you think about a modern boat, and this boat is no exception, there are a lot of electrical systems on here. There's a washer dryer, there's a dishwasher, there's all sorts of electric gizmos, and they're all running off sustainable power almost all the time. On deck, here we are on the front deck, and it's a very purposeful looking boat designed by Christophe Barrault, who's a well-known, he's a very experienced designer. What's he looking for with this yacht? Well, it's a performance cruiser, so it has to have an easily driven, well, 2 easily driven hulls. So the water lines are very fine, and then there's a bit of obviously flare out to give you some interior volume. The overall displacement is 13 tons, but Barrault, he designed the yacht to be loaded. So he was thinking of the boat being weighed down for blue water cruising. So he's thinking of the whole shape being immersed to that payload, and that's quite important as well. And obviously a long waterline means plenty of speed, and this boat's got huge speed potential. The rig on this boat is obviously quite big because it's a performance boat. So you've got a big fully battened main and a self-tacking jib. It's a very generous self-tacking jib, 45 square meters on the jib, 100 square meters on the main. So that'll get you going upwind, no problem. Upwind, obviously this is a good boat, and the aim is to have monohull performance in a multi-hull layout. To get that, this boat has twin dagger boards, you see one there, and obviously that gives you the grip that you need. And this boat will sail 33 degrees off the wind, and you know, anyone who's sailed in a monohull will know that's pretty comparable, if not better than some, certainly my own boat. So yeah, very impressive. Obviously downwind sailing is very important, and this boat is well equipped in that department. Sprit here for the Code Zero or Jenica. Code Zero is 100 square meters and the Jenica is 145, so you're almost doubling your sail area, and that makes for some fairly scintillating downwind performance, to be fair. Performance is obviously important because it's fun, but there's more to it than that. You get further, you don't need the engines so much because this boat performs well in light winds as well. So that all adds up to keeping you sailing and not motoring. And the other advantage is, if you're sailing fast, and this boat does average around 10 to 12 knots generally, you're hydro generating with the prop all the time when you're sailing. And that contributes significantly to the energy generation of the boat. But it's also a blue water cruiser, and for that you need to feel safe when you're sailing fast. And what WINDELO have done beautifully is create this method of sailing, of handling the boat, where the cockpit is at the front. So here we are. And you can see for yourself, you've got the twin wheels, you're right in the bow, you feel like you're at the heart of the boat, right next to the mast, and all of the controls lead to these winches right here. So if you're single-handing this boat, everything's to hand and you don't have to go out on deck hardly at all, so that's great. At the same time, if you're cruising with the family, maybe with small kids, they can be just next to you, but enclosed. So everyone feels safe and everyone's involved. And that's a really, really good feature. One of the other great advantages of this forward cockpit is you feel very involved with the elements. You see the sails, you feel the apparent wind because you can open up these blinds and you're directly in contact with the elements, and even better, you can actually slide back these hatches. So it's an indoor space, but it can also be an outdoor space. So from the cockpit you move seamlessly into the saloon, galley, living area, which also extends out back onto your sort of balcony. But that is obviously at sea, that folds up so you're enclosed. That's important to note. But as you can see, big space, great living space. Nice big galley. There's two options for the galley. This is the U-shaped one, which is really good for people who like cooking at sea because you're really enclosed here, even in rough weather. The one thing you should note is just how open this is. I mean, we've got these huge windows here that slide back, and obviously the back door as well. So you're almost outdoors. If you imagine you were in some South Sea anchorage, you're really involved with nature, and it's a great feel. This is a sort of saloon area here. You've got a nice chart table and a pilot berth as well. Everyone's together, but there's plenty of space and masses of lights. Onto the terrace here, see a very nice space to be, very pleasant indeed. Now this table is just in coffee table mode, but that can be raised up, doubled in length, and you can actually see 8 guests out here. So a great place to be. It's also worth mentioning that this is the new WINDELO 54, and the big difference here has been the deck moulding. So there's been a lot of changes there. You've got integrated non-skid. The sugar scoops are bigger, so better for a bathing platform. And there's just a better flow to the whole sort of design. The sort of look of the boat flows better. So they're the big differences. And also this has been extended back, so better shelter. And obviously you can walk around the boom, as you saw earlier, which is a great advantage. Also, as I said before, this closes up. So when you're at sea, this folds up and you're enclosed and you feel safe. Then you're heading down below into the, well, obviously 2 hulls, so 2 separate living areas down below. On the one side you've got the owner's suite, and on the other you've got 2 more cabins. So that's the classic layout basically. You could obviously have 4 cabins, but this has got 3, which kind of gives you more space for the owner. So let's have a look. We're here in the owner's cabin, which is, or the owner's suite, which is the full hull. But obviously we're aft here, and this is the bedroom. And just look at the amount of light in here. Absolutely wonderful. In addition, space. 2 meters of headroom, and it's like a hotel room really, but a beautiful finish as well. Very nicely finished, and all in all, a great place to sleep and wake up and see a beautiful, beautiful anchorage. Heading forward, first of all we have this, the little desk, or well, vanity table if you wished. Masses of storage going forward. Every single one of these is a cupboard. You've got a shoe rack there, nice touch. So plenty of storage, and then you're into a palatial bathroom, bigger than some at home. What a space. And obviously the shower is what really impresses me, because you can actually sit down and have a shower, which is nice. And you've also got a little porthole there, so you can see out. You can see you racing along at 20 knots or whatever, and you're in the shower. It's quite surreal, but it's incredible. And the amount of space is just marvelous. On the starboard hull, this is the guest hull really. So you've got 2 cabins. This is the aft cabin. Again, masses of light, masses of space, and plenty of storage. So heading forward from the aft cabin, we have a full-size washer dryer, very impressive on a performance catamaran. Then we have heads here. Carry on forward, and you have a nice shower, plenty of room in there, and it's completely separate from the heads, which is great. And then the forward cabin, guest cabin, again, just look at the amount of light, absolutely superb. Both sides of the cabin, so lovely. So for the more technically minded, another important aspect of the boat are the engines. So we'll go and have a look at them now. So we have twin electric engines, Bell Marine 20 kilowatt of power, so plenty of power there. Shaft driven, which obviously helps, no sail drive, less maintenance. And in fact, there's very little maintenance required on the engine, just topping up the coolant. Then you have to the right the water maker, and to the left the generator on this side. And obviously that's duplicated on the other, but we have different components in the other side, as we'll see. An electric motor, one of the other advantages is it frees up a lot of space, as you can see from the fact that I'm sitting here in the engine room. Here's the electric motor, very compact. And that frees up space you can put bikes in here, a tender even, an outboard motor. We've got the aircon unit here. Aircon, you always think very bad for the environment, but with this one, it's powered completely sustainably. And the boat was in Miami, WINDELO 54 was in Miami. They used the aircon all the time there because it was very hot. They never once used the generator, so it was completely sustainable aircon, which is great. So there you have it. An extraordinary boat, really. I mean, for us sailors, what are we looking for? Performance, comfort, and sustainability. And this boat delivers all three in a really impressive package. So now, for me, all that's lacking is the open ocean.